Hagrid's awkward arrival. The hut on the rock in the middle of the sea was not, by any stretch of the imagination, designed for comfort. It was barely designed for existence. The Dursleys had fled here in their desperation to escape the avalanche of Hogwarts letters, and now they huddled in the drafty structure like refugees from their own mailbox. Vernon sat in the corner, muttering darkly about woke wizards and politically correct post owls, while Petunia tried to make the best of their situation by unpacking a thermos of tea with the grim determination of someone maintaining civilization in the face of chaos. Dudley had claimed the only semi-comfortable chair and was working his way through a bag of crisps with mechanical efficiency. Harry, meanwhile, sat on the floor near the window, watching the storm rage outside and wondering if running away to join a circus might be preferable to spending another moment with their relatives. The past few weeks since their coming-out dinner had been a masterclass in passive-aggressive warfare, and frankly, Harry was exhausted. It was nearly midnight when the knock came. Them. 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 The entire hut shook with each impact, as if someone were trying to knock down the door with a battering ram. Who the devil could that be? Vernon spluttered, his face going pale. We're in the middle of nowhere. Them. 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 Maybe it's the Coast Guard, Petunia suggested hopefully. Come to rescue us from this dreadful storm. Or pirates, Dudley added helpfully, because his understanding of maritime law came entirely from Disney movies. Them. 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 The door splintered and fell inward with a crash that made everyone jump. Through the doorway stepped the largest human being Harry had ever seen, easily 8 feet tall, with wild black hair and a beard that could house a family of badgers. He was soaking wet, carrying what appeared to be a bright pink umbrella, and looked absolutely furious. Sorry about that, the giant said, not sounding sorry at all as he propped the ruined door against the frame. They were locked. Vernon, who had gone from pale to purple to a sort of greenish-white that suggested imminent vomiting, managed to stammer, who are you? What do you want? The giant turned to look at him, and Vernon actually whimpered. Name's Hagrid. Keeper of keys and grounds at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. His beetle-black eyes swept the hut until they landed on Harry. And you must be Harry Potter. My word, you've grown. Actually, Harry said, getting to their feet, I prefer they heathen pronouns now. I'm transgender. There was a moment of complete silence, broken only by the sound of the storm outside and Vernon's laboured breathing. Hagrid blinked his enormous eyes several times, like an owl trying to process particularly complex information. Right, he said slowly. They them. Got it. He paused. Though I'll be honest, that's going to take some getting used to. We don't get much training on that sort of thing at Hogwarts. Yet. Training. Vernon exploded, apparently finding his voice again. You need training to recognize basic biology? What kind of lunatic institution are you running? Hagrid turned to look at Vernon, and something dangerous flickered in his dark eyes. I beg your pardon. Don't you beg your pardon of me. Vernon was working himself into one of his legendary rages. I've had quite enough of this nonsense. First, these bloody letters invading my house, and now some. Giant shows up in the middle of the night talking about pronouns and training. It's political correctness gone mad. Uncle Vernon, Harry said tiredly, maybe you should. Don't you start. Vernon whirled on them. This is all because of your confused phase. Now even the wizards are infected with this woke mind virus. Hagrid's eyebrows, which were roughly the size and density of small hedgehogs, drew together in a frown. Confused phase. The boy, a girl, whatever it is now, has decided for crying out loud, I can't even speak properly anymore. Vernon threw his hands up in exasperation. They think they're transgender. That's 15. It's all this modern nonsense filling their head. Hagrid looked from Vernon to Harry and back again. Right, he said carefully. And that's bad. Vernon stared at him as if he'd just declared his intention to marry a houseplant. Bad? Of course it's bad. It's unnatural. It's perverted. It's who I am, Harry said quietly. Hagrid's expression softened. Well then, he said, I suppose that's what matters, isn't it? He turned back to Vernon. Though I have to say, you're being a right git about it. Vernon's moustache quivered with indignation. How dare you? This is my family. You can't just barge in here and... Actually, Hagrid interrupted, pulling out his pink umbrella and pointing it directly at Vernon's chest. I can. You see, Harry here is a wizard. Sorry, which? Actually, what's the gender-neutral term for that? Wizard is fine, Harry said quickly, sensing that this conversation could spiral into linguistic chaos very rapidly. For which? I'm not picky about magical titles. Right then. Harry's a witch, and they've got a place at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Been accepted since they were born, actually. Witchcraft and Wizardry. Virginia squeaked from her corner. But that's... Magic, Hagrid said firmly. Which is real, by the way. Sorry if that upsets your world view. Vernon was making sounds like a kettle about to boil over. Magic isn't real. And even if it were, I wouldn't let that confused child anywhere near a school that encourages their delusions. Uncle Vernon, Harry said, being transgender isn't a delusion. It bloody well is. Just like this magic nonsense. Hagrid raised his umbrella slightly, and the tip began to glow with a soft pink light. Perhaps you'd like a demonstration. Vernon went very, very quiet. Now then, Hagrid continued, lowering his umbrella but keeping it visible. Let's start over, shall we? Harry, you said you prefer they/them pronouns. Yes, Harry said, feeling a warm flutter of gratitude in their chest. Right. They/them it is. Hagrid nodded decisively. Though I'll warn you, I might slip up occasionally. Old habits and all that. But I'll do my best to remember. That's all I ask, Harry said, and meant it. Excellent. Now, about Hogwarts. I am not paying for some woke wizard school. Vernon interrupted. I don't care how many magic tricks you can do. I won't have my nephew, niece, whatever, indoctrinated with more of this gender ideology nonsense. Hagrid sighed deeply. Mr. Dursley, with all due respect, you're being an absolute pillock. How dare? Oh, I dare. Hagrid's voice had gone dangerously quiet. You see, I've known Harry since they were a baby. Watched over them from afar all these years. And let me tell you something about your nephew. He turned to look at Harry with genuine warmth. They're brave, and kind, and more magical than you can possibly imagine. And if they say they're transgender, then they're transgender. End of discussion. Harry felt their eyes prickle with unexpected tears. They couldn't remember the last time an adult had defended them so completely. Vernon, meanwhile, was turning interesting shades of red. You can't just decide these things. There are rules. There's science. There's magic, Hagrid said simply, which tends to make all sorts of things possible that narrow-minded muggles think are impossible. Muggles? Petunia whispered. Non-magical folk, Hagrid explained. No offence meant, but you are all muggles. I'll show you a muggle. Vernon roared, lunging forward. Hagrid flicked his umbrella, and Vernon froze mid-lunge, suspended in midair with his arms windmilling frantically. Now that's just embarrassing, Hagrid muttered. He flicked the umbrella again, and Vernon crashed to the floor in a heap. Dudley had been watching this entire exchange with the fascination of someone discovering that reality was far more entertaining than television. Can you do more magic? He asked eagerly. Dudley! Petunia hissed. What? This is brilliant. He made Dad fly. Hagrid grinned. Well, I suppose one more wouldn't hurt. He turned to Harry. Would you like to see some magic, Harry? Harry nodded eagerly, and Hagrid pointed his umbrella at the cold, empty fireplace. With a soft whoosh, cheerful flames sprang to life, instantly warming the drafty hut. "Blimey," Harry breathed. "That's nothing," Hagrid said proudly. "Wait until you see Hogwarts. Though I should mention, the school's been making some updates recently. Trying to be more, what's the word, inclusive." Harry's heart skipped. "Inclusive how?" Hagrid scratched his beard thoughtfully. "Well, they've updated all the policies, for one thing. Gender-neutral housing options, updated medical facilities, that sort of thing. Professor McGonagall, she's the deputy headmistress, she insisted on it after some research about transgender students in magical schools." "There are other transgender students?" Harry asked hopefully. "Oh yes, several. Though I'll be honest, I'm still learning all the proper terms and such. Had to attend a workshop last spring. Inclusive Magical Education, it was called. Very informative, though I did fall asleep during the bit about pronouns. Not because it was boring, he added quickly. Just had a long day with the hippogriffs." Vernon, who had been ominously quiet during this exchange, suddenly exploded again. "Workshops? You had to attend workshops to learn how to indulge children's fantasies." "They are not fantasies, Mr. Dursley," Hagrid said patiently. "They're people. And treating people with respect shouldn't require a workshop, but apparently some folks need the extra instruction." He looked pointedly at Vernon, who turned an even deeper shade of purple. "Besides," Hagrid continued, "Hogwarts has always been a place for students who don't quite fit in elsewhere. Students who are different. Special. Magical." He smiled at Harry. "Seems to me that being transgender just makes you fit in even better." Harry felt something warm and bright unfurl in their chest. For the first time in months, they felt hopeful. "Now, there is one thing," Hagrid said, looking slightly uncomfortable. "The Hogwarts letters were addressed to Miss Harry Potter. That's because our records are a bit outdated, based on birth certificates and such. But Professor McGonagall assured me that can all be updated once you're enrolled. New name, if you want one. Correct pronouns in all the records. The works." "Really?" Harry's voice came out slightly strangled. "Really? Hogwarts may be old, but it's not stuck in the past. Well, not entirely stuck, anyway." Vernon made a sound like a dying walrus. "This is insane. Completely insane. Magic schools with transgender policies. What's next? House elves demanding workers' rights." Hagrid winced. "Actually, that's been a bit of an issue lately." "I knew it." Vernon shrieked. "The whole world's gone completely balmy. Political correctness has infected even the bloody wizards." "Uncle Vernon," Harry said, "maybe if you actually listened." "I will not listen to more propaganda. Not from you, not from this giant, not from anyone." Vernon was practically foaming at the mouth now. "I've spent 15 years trying to stamp out the freakishness in you, and I'm not about to let some woke wizard school and do all my hard work." The hut went very, very quiet. Hagrid's expression had gone from patient to dangerous. "What did you just say?" Vernon, apparently too angry to recognize mortal peril when it was staring him in the face, doubled down. "You heard me. 15 years of trying to make that child normal, and now you want to send them to a school that will encourage their delusions. Well, I won't have it. I won't pay a single penny for this nonsense." "Uncle Vernon," Harry said quietly, "you don't have to pay. I have my own money." "What?" "My parents left me money. Quite a lot, actually." Harry looked at Hagrid for confirmation, and the giant nodded. "Vault full of it at Gringotts," Hagrid confirmed. "Your parents were quite well off." Vernon's face went through several colour changes, settling on a sort of greyish-green that suggested nausea. "Money? How much money?" "Enough," Hagrid said firmly. "More than enough for school fees and supplies." But... Vernon spluttered. "And their guardian. I control their finances." "Actually," Hagrid said, pulling out a letter from his coat. That's not quite true. According to this letter from Gringotts Wizarding Bank, Harry gains access to their trust vault at age 11 and full access to their inheritance at 17. No Muggle guardianship required. Harry stared at the letter. I have my own money. Loads of it, Hagrid said cheerfully. Your parents made sure you'd be taken care of. The implications hit Harry like a thunderbolt. They had money. Their own money. Money that Vernon couldn't control or threaten to withhold. Money that meant freedom. Vernon, meanwhile, looked like he was about to have a heart attack. This is impossible. I demand to see proof. I demand to speak to a lawyer. I demand. Uncle Vernon, Harry interrupted, you demand a lot of things, but you don't actually get to control my life anymore. The silence that followed was deafening. Petunia was the first to speak. Harry, dear, surely you don't mean. I mean exactly what I said, Aunt Petunia. I'm going to Hogwarts. I'm going to learn magic. And I'm going to be who I really am, with or without your approval. Hagrid beamed at them. That's the spirit. Though I should mention, term starts September 1st. We'll need to get you to Diagon Alley for supplies first. Diagon Alley. Magical shopping district in London. We can go tomorrow if you like. Get you sorted with books, robes, a wand. Hagrid paused. Though I should warn you, some of the shopkeepers are a bit old-fashioned. Might take some getting used to the pronoun situation. Unused to that, Harry said dryly. Right then. It's settled. Hagrid clapped his enormous hands together. We'll head to London first thing in the morning. I'll show you the magical world, and you can see for yourself what Hogwarts has to offer. Vernon made one last desperate attempt at control. Now see here. Harry is not going anywhere with you. I forbid it. Hagrid turned to look at him with something that might have been pity. Mr. Dursley, let me explain something to you. Harry Potter is one of the most famous names in the wizarding world. They're a hero to our people. And you spent 15 years trying to make them feel ashamed of who they are. Vernon's mustache quivered. Now, I'm not saying you're a bad person, Hagrid continued, though his tone suggested he thought exactly that. But I am saying that your opinion on Harry's life choices carries about as much weight as a feather in a hurricane. But I'm their guardian. Vernon protested weakly. And you've done a bang-up job of that, haven't you? Hagrid's voice was mild, but there was steel underneath. Locking them in cupboards, starving them, making them feel like a burden. Real Guardian of the Year material. Harry blinked. How do you know about the cupboard? Hagrid's expression softened. We've been keeping an eye on you, Harry. Not as closely as we should have, perhaps, but we knew. And I'm sorry. Sorry we didn't step in sooner. Vernon had gone very pale. You've been watching? Oh yes, Hagrid said cheerfully. Magical surveillance is quite advanced these days. Though I'll admit, we didn't expect the pronoun situation. That's a new development. It's not a development, Harry said firmly. It's just something I finally had the courage to admit. Right you are, Hagrid agreed. And good for you for having that courage. The warmth in his voice made Harry's chest feel tight with emotion. When was the last time an adult had praised them for being brave instead of calling them difficult? So, Hagrid continued, turning back to Vernon, here's what's going to happen. Tomorrow morning, Harry and I are going to London. We're going to buy school supplies, have a nice lunch, and I'm going to answer all their questions about the magical world. Then, on September 1st, they're going to board the Hogwarts Express and start their magical education. And if I refuse to let them go? Vernon asked weakly. Hagrid smiled, but it wasn't a particularly friendly smile. Well, that would be kidnapping, wouldn't it? Keeping a young witch from attending their rightful school. The Ministry of Magic takes a very dim view of that sort of thing. Vernon deflated like a punctured balloon. Besides, Hagrid added, Harry's 15. old enough to make their own decisions about their education, especially when they had the means to pay for it themselves. Harry felt a surge of something that might have been actual happiness. Freedom. Independence. A chance to be themselves without having to justify their existence every day. Hagrid, they said quietly, "Thank you." The giant's weather-beaten face creased into a genuine smile. "Don't mention it, Harry. It's about time someone stood up for you properly." As the storm raged outside and the fire crackled in the grate, Harry Potter sat in a drafty hut on a rock in the sea and felt, for the first time in their life, like they might actually have a future worth living. Even if that future involved explaining pronouns to confused wizards, it had to be better than staying with the Dursleys. And besides, if the magical world could accept that people could turn into animals and fly on broomsticks, surely they could accept that gender was more complicated than what was written on a birth certificate. Couldn't they? Tomorrow, Harry would find out.